Good morning, sort of. It's 10:30-ish. I wanted to do like a morning coffee time talk kind of thing, but the morning got away from me. But I do have coffee and I plan to talk, so it's still coffee talk. So if you're here, thanks. Awesome. I wanted to start by saying that I may have to pause this several times. And if I can learn how to edit, you will never know that. But just in case I can't, understand I have kids running around all over the place. I usually do this during nap time, but I really was trying to shoot for a morning type of thing. So I wanted to get this done as soon as possible. And so that brings me to 10:36. So anyway, it is the Thursday before Easter, Maundy Thursday. And my kids and I have been doing resurrection eggs every night for the past, 8 nights. And we found out about those on a really cool blog last year. And I cannot for the life of me remember the name of that blog. I'd love to send you to that blog because what it is, it's very simple, real quick if you want to try it. You can buy them, but of course I didn't come up with this great idea until like 5 days before Easter last year. So all the stores were sold out by me, but you can also make your own in that you can just save an old carton from your carton of eggs when the eggs are all gone. And then you can go to some place like Walmart and buy plastic empty eggs for very cheap. I think I got a bag of a dozen for like $1 or the dollar store. And what you do is if you go to this website, which I have a new one that I found this year, I can link it below this so you can find it. And each egg has something different in it representing Easter leading up to Easter morning, Sunday morning. And so we've been doing that every night. And we've done things like a little piece of bread representing the Last Supper, a silver coin to represent the silver coins that Judas accepted to betray Jesus. We have a piece of something purple to represent the robe that was put on Jesus after he was beaten, a thorn to represent the crown of thorns. So you get the idea. So we have been, of course, doing that every night. And then my oldest son, who is almost 9, has been reading in the book of Matthew at night, which does my mother's heart all kinds of amazing good and brings me so much joy to know he's been reading that on his own and asking me questions. So we have been reading together a little bit through Matthew, and I keep looking because I hear a little one coming, so they're going to try to make a cameo. But we've been reading in Matthew together, and so I started reading in Matthew myself. When I was reading to him last night, I came across some things. And I don't know if you're like me, but you can read something, especially something like the Last Supper, and you can read it 900,000 times, and it kind of gets static because you've read it so many times. You just, yep, got it. Last Supper. Okay, they broke bread. Jesus said, this is my body. This is my blood. Got it. But I was reading it, and he was asking me questions, and it just like brought to light so many different things, so many different perspectives. And it's kind of neat to have it from a 9-year-old's perspective. And so I started reading it again myself last night and this morning because I came on here and I thought, I'm going to talk about, what am I going to talk about? I thought, let's talk about gossip because that's something that's so easy to engage in. And it's something that can be so crippling to relationships. And it's important, but gosh, in light of how we're this close to Easter Sunday and, really just examining and digging into what the scriptures say about Easter, which is Christ's death and resurrection, which is the absolute, just the meat of Christianity and our beliefs. And so I wanted to share a little bit of that with you today. And I typically read from the NIV version, but my husband bought me this amazing Message version. And I know there's mixed feelings on that from different people. But I have to tell you, to read the scriptures fresh and new and to get a whole new perspective and a more modern day kind of verbiage and wording, and it packs a punch because it's not static anymore. It's said a little differently in a way that maybe it's a little edgier, a little more modern, I guess, with the same meaning, just a different way of saying it. And it hits me. And I wanted to read you a little bit. I'm in Matthew Matthew 26, and it's starting in verse 20. And it says, after sunset, he and the 12 were sitting around the table. During the meal, he said, I have something hard but important to say to you. One of you is going to hand me over to the conspirators. And this next one, 22, just gets me. They were stunned, and they began to ask one another, one after another, it isn't me, is it, Master? And I was stopped right there, and I thought I had to read it a couple times. And even in the NIV version, it says very similar, that they all, one after the other, started saying, it isn't me, is it? And I thought, you know, these men, they knew Jesus intimately. They traveled with him. They saw him. They saw the miracles he performed, the illnesses that he healed, the people he raised from the dead. They saw this firsthand. They ate with him. They slept in the same place as him. They traveled with him. Who knows all the things that they experienced that aren't, you know, in this book. And I thought, they knew who he was. And they were stunned and said, it isn't me, is it, Master? And I just thought, you know, I can go so many different places with this. And I'll try to keep this bite-sized and short, but I just thought, how many times do I do that? How many times do I do that to God? How many times do I say to him, well, let me keep going, because a little bit, it says, Jesus answered, the one who hands me over is someone I eat with daily, one who passes me food at the table. In one sense, the Son of Man is entering into a way of treachery, well marked by scriptures. No surprise here. In another sense, that man who turns me in turns traitor to the Son of Man. Better never to have been born than do this. Then Judas already turned traitor. He'd already arranged and accepted those silver coins. He knew what he was going to do. He said, and this blows me away, he said, it isn't me, is it, Rabbi? And Jesus said, and I love the Message version of this, Jesus said, don't play games with me, Judas. And I thought, this is where I really, you know, it really stopped me. And I said, how many times do I do that to God? How many times do I say to God, I'm not going to do that, am I? I'm not going to say this or do that or step outside your will in this area. Am I, God? Is it me? And I know very well that I already have been thinking about it, or I already have done it, or, you know, it's already been something on my mind. And I still, for some reason, think that I can hide from the great I am, the Almighty, the all-knowing. I still, for some reason, think that I can, I don't know, fool him, fool myself. I don't really know. You know, did Judas really understand what he was doing? I'm no Bible scholar. I don't know. I'm sure there's tons of commentary written on this. I'm just giving you my perspective of it. But that was just so, I can't, there are no words. That was just, it blew me away. Okay. Because I thought, I do that. And then the next part after that, where it goes on to talk about, during the meal, Jesus took and blessed the bread, broke it, and gave it to his disciples. Take it, this is my body. Taking the cup and thanking God, he gave it to them. Drink this, all of you. This is my blood. God's new covenant poured out for many people for the forgiveness of sins. And I have to think, Judas was still there. He was still at that table. Jesus still broke that bread and drank that wine and gave it to him, knowing what he knew. I'm not going to begin to get into a debate or a discussion on whether or not Judas is in heaven. I don't know. I'm sure there's lots of information out there from both sides. But I just thought that was interesting that Jesus already announced that Judas was going to betray him, already confirmed to Judas, I know what you're going to do. Let's not play games. And still broke bread and enjoyed a meal with Judas. And again, it makes me think of all the times that I know I'm going to betray God, or I have, or how many times I have trampled on the sacrifice that Jesus made for me by demeaning it, by reading verses and just glossing over them and observing a certain ritual that represents Easter and his death and resurrection. And I don't really take it to heart, but Jesus still loves me. And just like he knew that Judas was going to betray him, he knew even then all the things that I was going to do to betray him, and all the ways that I was going to spit in the face of this enormous sacrifice that he made. And we could go on for hours talking about the next several hours in Jesus's life and what happened to him, and the beatings and the horrible treatment. And, you know, we could go on forever and ever about that. But